The American Civil Liberties Union of Virginia has filed a lawsuit in Culpeper County Circuit Court against Culpeper County Sheriff Scott Jenkins and the Culpeper County Board of Supervisors, seeking to terminate Culpeper County's immigration enforcement agreement with the federal government's Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, more commonly known as ICE. Back in April, Sheriff Jenkins entered into a contract with ICE. The agreement, known as a 287G agreement, delegates sheriff's deputies to perform certain functions as ICE officers, including questioning people about their immigration status and detaining them as if in ICE custody. The lawsuit claims its legitimacy based on the Dillon Rule. Virginia is a Dillon Rule state, which means local governments only have the authority to take actions specifically authorized by the state constitution or legislature. The lawsuit argues that neither of those, the state constitution or the legislature, authorizes localities or constitutional officers to voluntarily take on the responsibility to enforce federal immigration law directly or to spend local tax revenues to do so. Donna DeAngelis is the chairperson of the steering committee for a group called the Culpeper Persisters. She said over 200 people joined her to protest the sheriff's agreement with ICE before he made the decision final.
A year ago at the Board of Supervisors meeting, the Hispanic community came out when the sheriff proposed this, and we all attended the Board of Supervisors meeting, the part that was public. We filled the room and spilled out into the lobby and to the parking lot. We had over 200 people there, maybe close to 300, standing room only, and we had a protest, and we spoke before the Board of Supervisors, advising them against funding this for the sheriff. He has buried the funding in his budget, so there's nothing at a specific line item that we can target. But we will be targeting him in the next election for replacement.
The ACLU of Virginia argues that the Culpeper County Sheriff's policy creates distrust and discourages immigrants, regardless of their status, from cooperating with local law enforcement officers as victims or witnesses of crimes for fear that they or their family members might be detained or deported. Now, to my knowledge, there is only one other locality in Virginia with a similar agreement with ICE, and that is Prince William County. And as our viewers know, the Prince William County Board of Supervisors chairman is failed U.S. Senate and gubernatorial candidate and Trump loyalist Corey Stewart. On the campaign trail, Stewart would often brag and claim that under his leadership and his county's agreement with ICE, that they have detained and handed over 7,000 people to ICE. Except Stewart didn't refer to them as people. He called them criminal illegal aliens.
So far in Prince William County, we have handed over more than 7,500 criminal illegal aliens over to the federal government.
Here's the problem with Stewart's claim. The federal government will not confirm the fate of those people detained and handed over to ICE by Prince William County law enforcement. There is no public record of how many of those people were deported and how many were released. So when Stewart calls them criminal illegal aliens, first off, he can't prove that they're criminals because the federal government has not released those numbers. And as far as calling another human being an alien, not only is that disgusting, but it's false because these people he's referring to are from right here on Earth, not from some far beyond planet or from outer space. Therefore, there's nothing alien about them. Claire Guthrie Gastanyaga is the executive director of the ACLU of Virginia. I asked her if there were any plans in the works to go after the Prince William County Board of Supervisors and try to use the courts to force their hand to end their policy of preying on peaceful, undocumented immigrants. Gastanyaga said Prince William County is a little more complicated, but is definitely on the ACLU's radar.
Well, there are different kinds of entities, okay? I mean, the sheriff here is a constitutional officer, and he directly supervises the jail. In Prince William, there's a whole separate entity that's created called the Regional Jail Authority, and there are different representatives from the different localities that participate in that regional jail on a governing board. And so it's a step away from the direct coverage of by an individual constitutional officer or a board of supervisors. It's a collaborative, and because it has that separate legal status, then you have to research all the questions over again because maybe there's some little weird quirky thing in the law that gives them authority that the sheriff wouldn't have. So we don't want to. We're not ready to go there.
Not ready.
Yeah.
A little bit more complex. Okay, yeah. I got you. Okay.
I mean, we're equally concerned about him,
yeah.
and they've certainly run a whole bunch of people through the system, and we're hoping that this will cause the elected officials that participate in that regional jail authority take notice. But you know, I mean, next chapter.
Okay, thank you very much. This is a developing story, and I will continue to follow it closely as the lawsuit makes its way through the courts. In Culpeper, Virginia, Theodore Whitelow, Breaking Through News.